Good Thursday afternoon. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Lauren Lemanchek. Breaking today, some Minnesota nurses will not be going on strike. According to the Minnesota Nurses Association, nurses in the metro area reached a tentative agreement with their hospitals and resolved an unfair labor practices lawsuit. Details on the deal are limited. We do know it includes new language implementing Minnesota's new break law, tools addressing workplace violence, a raise of 3% in the first year and 4% in the second year. Metro workers still do need to vote on the new contract. Up north, however, Duluth area nurses have not reached a deal and are set to go on strike July 8th. Our top story today, the man accused of killing Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman, her husband Mark, and their dog Gilbert, and trying to kill State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette, is in court. The hearing for Vance Belter will determine whether he should stay in custody without bail and if there's probable cause to proceed with the case. Just last week, Belter made bold claims about the conditions at the Sherburne County Jail, saying he hadn't slept in 2 weeks. So the judge postponed a hearing set for last week to today. The Sherburne County Sheriff released a statement shortly after that decision saying, quote, he's not in a hotel, he's in jail. The sheriff also said Belter was seen on security cameras resting in his cell with his eyes closed for about 7 straight hours. New today, Twin Cities parents, youth organizations, and community members are speaking out about the recent gun violence involving kids. Just this week, a 17-year-old girl was shot and killed in Brooklyn Park. And late last month, 11-year-old Amir Atkins was shot and killed in Falwell Park in Minneapolis. Community members say it's going to take them and elected officials to tone down the violence.
Right? We have to address the issue at the root. I appreciate some of the work that's going into right now, but we have to do it equity, right? Equitable. Because there's been many years where this issue has been just completely ignored.
So far, there have been no arrests in either of those deadly shootings. Just over the river in St. Paul, people are honoring the life of local community activist Melvin Giles. The 66-year-old died earlier this week, and he's being remembered as a leader and advocate for peace, especially in Rondo and Frogtown. Raya Katene has his story.
See, look at this one. See the colors on it?
A world filled with bubbles, not bullets.
Can I blow this one? Wow.
Is the world Melvin Giles wanted to help build piece by piece.
He just wanted to bring peace to everybody.
A connecting force responsible for too many initiatives to list. Leaving behind a big legacy.
Oh, that's so big.
Starting with this small oasis of food and flowers in the Rondo neighborhood of St. Paul.
She really helped me yesterday when I was at my lowest.
Nestled right next to Melvin's childhood home and part of the Urban Farm and Garden Alliance, which he helped form more than a decade ago.
Just getting people outside and try to grow together. Not only good food, but also friendships.
Cultivating the earth and nurturing his community through better access to affordable, healthy foods, good for the soul.
Kind of like being part of a village.
And good for one another.
Melvin is Rondo.
The 66-year-old mentor, artist, gardener, educator, and peace advocate passed away on Tuesday.
It was a shock. Melvin is boisterous and is outgoing and is beautiful and is loving.
Melvin just exuded warmth and care and love. And donation was a big part of who he was.
Organ donation.
And then, of course, here's Melvin.
Another one of Melvin's missions in honor of his late partner, Mary, a tissue donor who inspired Melvin to do the same, working with LifeSource in Minneapolis to raise awareness of organ donation, especially within communities of color.
He has inspired many people to register as donors, and I think his legacy will be to continue to inspire people to register. I don't think we can quantify the life-saving impact of what he's done.
A planter of seeds and cultivator of peace.
You see peace poles. That was his doing for Minnesota.
A man who has received awards, honors, and accolades.
Yep.
But those who were closest to him say,
Yep. That's what he did. Yeah.
He was motivated by one thing.
Bubble attack.
Bubbles, not bullets. That's what he always said.
A mission his community will now continue.
It's all about peace and love.
As they say goodbye to a man they believe has found permanent peace.
A look from Washington, D.C. right now, where the House of Representatives will vote on President Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill at any moment. The vote after Democratic leader Representative Hakeem Jeffries spoke for 8 hours to delay the vote. GOP leaders praised the bill's spending cuts and extension of trillions of dollars in tax breaks. The legislation also contains billions for immigrant detentions and Trump's border wall. It also, though, includes major cuts to Medicaid and food stamps, something Democrats oppose. There's also major concerns that the bill could add trillions to the national debt. If this bill passes, Elon Musk, who's been a sharp critic of it, believes a new America Party will be formed the next day. Time will tell. But it is true that when it comes to politics, some Americans are frustrated by the two-party system. Our country's had third-party candidates before, including right here in Minnesota. And except for Jesse, they haven't really caught on. So what gives? Gordon Severson went to find out.
How challenging is it to create a third party?
It is enormously challenging.
There's a reason why two main parties dominate American politics. U of M political science professor Larry Jacobs says those two parties basically write the rules that say which parties can get on the ballot.
You got to fight state by state, with the laws varying by each state, the number of signatures you have to get for each candidate varying state by state. It's a heck of a lift.
However, if there was anyone who could do it, Jacobs says it would be someone like Elon Musk, who has enough money to fight legal challenges from the other parties and a big personality to get people talking.
One of the big questions is, will Elon Musk himself be a candidate?
Jacobs says one of the most successful third-party candidates in American history also has a big personality.
Jesse Ventura, right here in Minnesota. Very, very hard to win a statewide race as Jesse did. Jesse was able to break through by force of personality and some real disgust towards the major parties.
But with Musk, would his personality bring in voters or scare them away?
Does he go front and center in terms of pushing for this party, or does he retreat in the background?
Hamline University politics professor David Schultz says that's the big question, along with the party's stance on important issues.
Many people have argued for years that a fiscally conservative, socially liberal party would probably capture a large chunk of where the American electorate is right now.
Schultz says polling does suggest many Americans are looking for an alternative to the two parties. He argues the easiest path to building a new party would be to wait on the presidency and instead focus on building the party in Congress.
If he could target a half a dozen Senate races, a half a dozen House races, and win those, that would hold the balance of power in the House or the Senate, and that would give his small coalition an incredible amount of leverage.
Jacobs agrees. Maybe even a few state races would generate buzz and give this new party the attention it needs to grow.
Pick a few states, pick a few races, try to get an image or a label or an organization, some identity for what he's trying to do, and then go from there.
Another big hurdle for any third party is convincing voters that their vote actually matters and that they can win. With this tense rivalry between Democrats and Republicans, a lot of candidates argue a vote for a third party is basically like giving a vote to the other side. There's some truly devastating video into the newsroom today showing the aftermath of Israeli strikes on a hospital and school in Gaza early this morning. Officials on the ground say at least 15 people are dead, and they're still digging through any debris looking for survivors. The United Nations says strikes exactly like this one have become common in recent weeks. Meantime, there is a new Gaza ceasefire and hostage deal in the works, something Israel already says it agrees with and is waiting on the Hamas terrorist group to do the same. Meantime, Iran is still evaluating damage from recent U.S. and Israeli strikes on its nuclear facilities, but the country appears to be carrying on as usual. Despite the attacks, Tehran, Iran's capital, says it may be willing to restart negotiations with Washington over its nuclear program. Richard Engel is in Tehran, where life in the city is returning to normal.
We have made our way to Tehran, the Iranian capital. The international airport here remains closed, so we had to drive in across the desert right from the Afghan border. And what we're finding here is a city that is intact. People here are united. We're not seeing any signs that the government is losing control. Shops are open. People are out on the streets. Police are out on the street. Government officials are going to their offices. There are checkpoints in and out of the city. No sign of any kind of regime change. No sign of any kind of popular uprising. This morning, I spoke to the deputy foreign minister here, who said that Iran has no intention of carrying out any kind of unilateral attack against the United States or its interests, but said Iran would respond again if Israel or the United States initiated an attack against this country. Iran officially says that negotiations are off. No new negotiations are scheduled, and Iran's parliament has officially suspended cooperation with the UN's nuclear watchdog, the IAEA. But the deputy foreign minister told me today that Iran is still open, possibly, to more negotiations, more talks with both the IAEA and the United States, but that more needs to be done to rebuild trust. Richard Engel, NBC News, Tehran.
Some heartbreak and nostalgia today in the Twin Cities. Palmer's Bar, which has been near the corner of 5th and Cedar in Minneapolis for 120 years, is closing down. According to an Instagram post, the final day in operation will be September 14th. The post says the decision to close down has been extremely difficult, but that they have plenty of events happening this summer to make it one to remember. And if you haven't seen this video, terrible video, come look at your screen. A news chopper captured the moment a fireworks warehouse was obliterated after a massive explosion. This happened in Yolo County, California, just outside of Sacramento. Right now, 7 people are unaccounted for after the blast. Officials are investigating what sparked the fire. Stay with us. We have more news and weather coming up after the break.